What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new show on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to be calling this Third Party Review. Now, I'm calling it this because typically some of the products I would like to talk about, I am not going to be able to get my hands physically on them. So what I'm going to do is we're going to watch other reviewers and then gather up a lot of information about said products, and then I will give my review based on all the information I've gathered and some of the things that these reviewers have said. So this show is gonna have a slight tinge of a reactive feel, but I'm not gonna let you guys watch the entire thing with me. I'm just gonna watch, and when I see something that is very important that they said and I want to touch on, I will let you see that portion of the clip, and then I will say what I have to say about that. So let's jump right in, and if you're new to the channel, a subscribe and a like would be lovely. So let's get right into it. Today's video, we are going to be talking about a car I have been waiting for a very, very long time. If you didn't know, I am a bit of a gearhead and I love cars. The video today is about the Mercedes EQS.
This is the 2022 Mercedes-Benz EQS, the all-new, all-electric sedan straight from Germany.
I have been waiting for this car since the Vision EQS came out. So we're starting off with Marquez Brown, MKBHD.
So I'm gonna just start with a statement, and you may or may not agree with this, but let's just go with it. I believe that the future of cars is electric, right? And if we just say that that might be true, then that means that eventually someday every single type of car will have some electric version. And the thing is, people forget this a lot, but not all cars are the same. There's sports cars, there's crossovers, there's pickup trucks, and every single type of car is going to have a different set of challenges on its way to going electric. And
so in the beginning, he says something very, very important. He talks about how he believes that electric cars are going to be the future. But then he also chimes in on the fact that certain groups of people who use cars have different expectations of what their car should be, and depending on that, there's going to be a difference in how these cars are electrified. Like, for instance, he talked about people who like driving fast cars or sports cars and stuff like that. Those people want to hear the engine. Like for me, the V8 engine is one of the best sounding engines in the world currently. And when you're shifting gears, people want to have that feel of being in control. The electrification of these cars, some of these things have to be taken into consideration. As to how many of these people make up the buying power of the market, I don't know. But then he goes on to touch on other things. Apart from sports cars, he talks about pickup trucks. And then in the video freeze frame, we talk about you see towing capacity. Now, it's a very important thing that he talks about towing capacity, because so far in electric cars, it has become quite evident that electric cars are not able to tow as much as compared to a combustion engine car. So that in itself is an issue, because if you're getting a pickup truck, you're definitely going to be carrying a lot of stuff. Especially in the US, people would want to tow things. And if the electric car is not able to tow the things that they want to, then it defeats the purpose of the car being a pickup truck. So yes, I am looking forward to how the science and technology is going to answer that question, and how electric cars are going to properly ease into and then phase out. Some friends of mine dare say do not agree that electric cars can take over the industry completely. Well, we will see how that goes, because with the existence of engines like the TFG, which is found in the Koenigsegg Gemera, we are looking forward to some interesting times in technology, especially concerning cars.
I feel like, you can get a pretty good idea of what the car looks like, right? It's a big Maybach-shaped sedan sloping down to maximize efficiency. In fact, this shape will have the lowest drag coefficient of any production car in the world at 0.2.
So moving on, Marquez talks about the streamlining of the car, or the shape of the car, which has given it a brand new record of being the car with the lowest drag coefficient in the world. Why is this important? Well, when it comes to electric cars, you're always looking for a way to save on power. Now, with a car with a lower drag coefficient means that it will be able to slip through the air, and then it wouldn't face as much air resistance, because if there's a lot of air resistance on the car, it would need more power to move through or slip through the air. So that's one of the reasons why this thing that Marquez talks about is extremely important. And kudos to Mercedes for pulling this off.
That is ridiculous. I mean, I've never driven an S-Class Mercedes before, obviously, so maybe this is just par for the course, but that is very impressive.
Another thing I love about this video so far is that Marquez, MKBHD, doesn't miss an opportunity to point out the fact that he isn't particularly well versed in luxury sedans. Like, he says it, he's never driven an S-Class before, so he doesn't know what metric to compare this to. So for him, experiencing that car, it was fantastic. I mean, when you look at the interior of the car, it looks really great. I wouldn't go for that color for the interior. I don't know, it feels like it's just attracting dirt all over the place, like a dirt magnet. But I will agree that it seems to match what the S-Class is known for.
Stepping into the EQS is like stepping into a car from the future. I mean, you've got this infotainment screen that runs the full width of the dash. This is the Mercedes-Benz Hyperscreen, which the company first teased at CES earlier this year. And as you can see, it's just absolutely massive. It's 56 inches, pillar to pillar. What's interesting about the Hyperscreen is that it's actually several displays embedded in one solid piece of curved glass.
Now, let's talk about the Hyperscreen. Now, the Hyperscreen is one of the biggest things that Mercedes is marketing when it comes to this vehicle. It's a 56-inch display. Basically, it's 3 separate displays with different sizes that come together to form 56 inches, and it's all under a pane of glass. As to if this is practical, there are debates about it. I'm actively debating about it with my friends. The main thing about the Hyperscreen that many car people were worried about is, first, the reach. Now, watching the video from the Verge, I could tell that in the cockpit-like driver's seat, it's not much of a stretch to get access to the interface in terms of touching it. So you can sit back, it looks like you can sit back while driving and still be able to access it. I don't know if it's a height thing, but definitely the seats are able to move forwards and backwards, so you'll be able to touch it anyways. And that's one of the main things that people had an issue with the elevation, with how it's tilted. It looks like you can literally just put your hand on the side dash and then you would be able to get access to the infotainment system or the Hyperscreen. Now, the next thing is definitely the responsiveness of the screen, because you can be driving and without looking, you know where the buttons are, you know how to touch the buttons or what the buttons feel like, so you'd be able to turn, like if you want to increase the volume, it's easy to do that with the button and everything. But when you are driving and it's a touch screen, it's a totally different conversation, because if you take into consideration your smartphone, when you want to do something on your smartphone, most times you end up looking at the smartphone. So that's why Google is even putting in a new feature that will make you aware of the fact that you should look up while you're walking when using your phone, because most people need to spend that time to actively look at what they're doing when it's a touch screen. So many of my friends who drive a lot, many drivers that I talk to, they have an issue with that. They don't know if they will be able to drive and actively use it. Granted, there's a voice assistant that's Australian using the phrase "Hey Mercedes," but the responsiveness of it is also in question. And that is something I'll talk about towards the end.
Right, what about the range? Well, depending on the variant you go for, you can get an operating range of up to 770 kilometers. This is the WLTP rating, so take of that what you like. But in my opinion, anything over 400 miles for an electric car is pretty awesome.
The EQS is touted to have a 770 kilometer range. That's about 478 miles. That puts it far above the Tesla the longest range Tesla, which stands at 402 miles. That's like 76 miles more, and that in itself is yet to be fully tested on the road, because this range is given using the European standard, and that comes with its own nuances and whatever it might be. But let's just say you shave off 178 miles off of this estimated range, giving the EQS a range of 300 miles. If you ask me, that is more than enough, because it is a luxury sedan. It is a new in its class, and the Verge report did say it. Mercedes is Mercedes, and the S-Class is in a class of its own. And it being the first luxury sedan, it has really thrown the gauntlet to Tesla, because Tesla has already had issues with build quality. Mercedes, on the other hand, has had years of experience in building high quality luxury vehicles. And I remember Marquez had another video, I'll put it in the description and it will pop up somewhere around, and in that video he talked about how range was one of the most determining factors on whether people would buy an electric car or not.
Dear electric cars, if you're coming out today with a premium electric car with 200 miles of range, you're already behind. So range is of course super important, and to me it's the number one baseline indicator for just how good the electric car program is within a certain manufacturer. It's like
That is true, but here's the thing, I feel like people would generally be willing to accept a lower range if they get something else. I feel like with the quality of the build, with the reputation Mercedes has, and the mere fact that it's a thoroughly luxurious sedan, I feel like quite a number of people would go for that. Because here's the thing, I dare say I'm sure there are several high-end executive and businessmen all across the world who want to go electric but feel like the Tesla just isn't it. So the EQS is going to thoroughly satisfy that market. The market of these exec CEOs, executives of bank managers, all of those people who just want a very luxurious house, who typically drive an S-Class. Heck, many diplomats use S-Classes in their commuting, so the EQS can thoroughly satisfy that market. And if you ask me, 300 miles of range is perfect. I mean, I'm being driven to work and back. That's pretty much it. I know a number of people who own S-Classes, and to be honest, not many of them use these S-Classes for long journeys. Many of these CEOs or diplomats, if they are going long distance, they probably take a helicopter or they take a flight. So it doesn't really matter that it should have an extremely long range. The Mercedes, this EQS does not have to have the longest range. It doesn't need it. 250 miles of range is perfect, because that means that I could possibly commute to and from work for the entirety of the week without having to recharge the car. So yeah, I feel like Tesla should be worried.
Thank you. This is where I actually have constructive criticism, because, you know, as much as I've had car experience, there isn't a whole lot of constructive criticism I can offer to the level of luxury or the massaging seats or the softness of the pillow, but I know it makes a good infotainment system. And this Hyperscreen is definitely visually impressive, no doubt about that, but it's nowhere near as good as it could be.
Now, MKBHD talks about the Hyperscreen, but then he talks about the software aspect. And I will point this out. I didn't notice until you mentioned it, but yes, the MBUX does kind of look like a Windows Media Player, the UI. But he makes a very important point, which many drivers I've spoken to are very, very concerned with. That is that how responsive is this user interface or this screen? And when you watch the video, you can see that there were certain moments where he was interacting with it and there was a bit of a lag. And if you take into consideration the smartphones that we use today, we don't experience that much of a lag because they continually improve the software. Granted, this is just a software fix away, but it is an issue right now, because that fraction of a second you would use to look at this Hyperscreen to figure out what is going on or why your commands haven't gone in could, if effectively result in something terrible. And that is something that needs to be addressed and can easily be addressed with just a software update. That's the beauty of the screens and just a software based system, because it can be an over-the-air update and then you are in the new stuff. But then Marquez asks the most important question.
So the question is, what's easier? What is going to happen first? Will it be Tesla making the leap to become really good at making a bunch of cars with great interior quality and great materials? Or will it be Mercedes that makes the leap to become an elite software company? Because that's what we're really asking here is, can Mercedes make great software?
If you ask me, I am more on the side of Mercedes being able to improve the software capabilities of their car first. Here's the thing, building an interior takes time and experience. Granted, it's an issue that you can throw money at, but if you understand, if you know from Tesla users and seeing Teslas and stuff, they are very minimalistic in their approach, and this is one of the ways they factored it in order to get the cars to be not as expensive as the combustion engine counterparts all over the world. So what happens here is that with Tesla spending money to improve the build quality, it could affect the price, and many people are already like, Teslas are affordable, they have a long range, they do what needs to be done, that's great, that's all. Now on Mercedes' side, they can literally throw money at the software issue. They can just pay and get a very good team, and within a year, they could overhaul the entire software, MBUX software, and bring a brand new one that works amazingly. And with their years in the industry of creating luxurious car, very good build quality and all that stuff, they don't need to worry as much because they know where to shave off quality, air quotes. They know where they can be a bit lax on this build, or like for instance, this door or this steering wheel for this model at this price point doesn't necessarily need to be made from carbon fiber or made from some high-end material, because they know that people don't particularly pay attention to that. They pay attention to these other stuff, that, oh, my door lever needs to be metallic, stuff like that. They pay attention to more of that in a luxury sedan. Mercedes has years of experience on that, but Tesla, on the other hand, having to go through that experience of building, improving their build quality, I feel like it would take a lot more time. So I think Mercedes could be better served, or would be able to quickly overhaul its software as opposed to Tesla improving its build quality. So my final thoughts on the EQS: it is amazing, it's a great car. Silver Star Towers Ghana, if you ever do get your hands on this car, please hit me up and let me take it for a test drive, or to just review the car in person. But I feel like it's a step in the right direction. Personally, I think I would go for a hybrid version. That is quite good, seeing as the new Mercedes is coming out. Most of the new AMGs coming out are having some form of hybrid technology in there, because I feel like hybrid is more what is important now as opposed to fully electric. But there are other markets that can fully utilize the electric cars. So the EQS is a step in the right direction. It is a realistic take on the Vision EQS, and with that regard, I think Mercedes has a hit on their hands. Put it in the right markets, give it the right price. Price wise, I don't know, $150,000 for the long range version. I mean, I think it could work. I think people would be willing to fork that amount of money to get it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what you saw, like the video, subscribe and share this video, and jump in the comment section. What do you think? And to all my Ghanaians in Ghana and anybody who sees this video, what do you think? Do you think the EQS would work perfectly in where you come up, in where you live? With where I live, it's quite questionable, but I know for sure there are people out there in this country, in Ghana, that would definitely buy this. So hey, if you're out there and you are looking to buy this car, and you do buy this car, please let me come check it out. So between the period where I finished shooting this and editing this video, the 2022 Mercedes EQS is finally out. So we have some information about it. The 2022 Mercedes EQS is going to come in two models, the EQS 450 Plus and the EQS 580 4MATIC. The 450 Plus is estimated to be at about $96,000 and the 580 4MATIC at about $116,000. Mercedes has already announced that they will be releasing an AMG version, and I am thinking that the AMG version will be about $150,000. The EQS 450 Plus, that is rear-wheel drive and it has 329 horsepower. The 580 4MATIC is all-wheel drive with a little over 500 horsepower, close to 600 horsepower. I didn't give my full thoughts on this. I kind of forgot, and I'm sorry. So what I'm going to say is that when it comes to the Hyperscreen user software and everything, I seriously believe that many of these EV manufacturers need to look towards the OEMs or the smartphone manufacturers, because they are actively working on improving battery performance. They are actively working on improving charging speeds, and these things they do via both hardware and software. So I think even considering the fact that there's a Samsung tablet in the EQS, they might as well talk to Samsung to help them figure out their MBUX and also the charging speeds and all that stuff. Panasonic is one of the companies that helps Tesla with their battery tech. LG has bowed out of the smartphone game and it's now actively pursuing the EV market. So I think any EV manufacturer, if you're looking to boost your battery performance or your software systems, just throw money at people who already been doing this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.